Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be making Mickey Spam Musubis. They sell these at the Disney Aulani Resort, and while we're all stuck at home, I figured we can bring a little piece of Disney into our homes and into some of the foods we eat. The ingredients in here are super easy to find, and it's probably things that you have in your house. I had this stuff, but if not, you can definitely customize these to whatever you have available in your house. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm using this nori seaweed sheets. I'm also using this rice seasoning and a can of Spam and some cooked sticky rice. And I'm also using this Yoshida sauce. It's like a teriyaki sauce, but you can use any type of similar sauce that you like. So first, my rice was already pre-cooked. So just cook some rice and then take out your Spam. As you can see, I was having a little bit of trouble with that. Then I'm going to be starting off by cutting slices off of the side of the Spam. Make sure to cut it so that the slices are quite long. So cut it perpendicular to the long side, the lengthwise. So cut it widthwise, yes. Then I'm going to cut each slice again in half, so I have these little pieces. And I'm also going to cut up some seaweed. So I folded it hot dog style or lengthwise, then cut it down and then folded it one more time. And that's what we're going to be using to wrap our musubis. And while I was doing that, I boiled some water so I can cook the Spam. Once the water was boiled, I threw in the pieces of Spam just to get the excess salt out, because the Yoshida sauce or teriyaki sauce already has a lot of salt in it, and you don't want too much salt in your musubis. So I'm just going to put it in there for a couple minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to be starting to assemble the musubi. So I'm using a Mickey cookie cutter here. I think you can do it without it, but it's definitely a lot easier to use a cookie cutter for this. So I'm just beginning by smashing some rice into the cookie cutter mold and pressing it down pretty firmly to make sure that it sticks and it stays in that shape. So I'm using a spoon to push it down, a smaller one. Make sure to get in all the nooks and crannies to make sure that your Mickey head stays intact. And I actually dropped some rice, so I'm going to put it back. Then afterwards, I lifted it up and put the seaweed underneath. And then I slowly pushed down on the rice while I lifted up the cookie cutter. And it lined up perfectly like this. I was definitely afraid that the seaweed wouldn't fall due to the ears being longer than the rest of the head, but it ended up being okay. After my Spam was done, I dipped it in some of the sauce. You can definitely pour the sauce on top of the rice itself if you would like. That would definitely make it taste better and saltier, because the rice isn't really seasoned, but I figured it might make my musubi soggy and it might make it hard to hold up and retain its Mickey shape. And I also poured on some of this rice seasoning. This is furikake. It's a Japanese rice seasoning. But obviously you don't really need this if you don't have it, but it makes it look nice and like the ones that they have at the Disney Resort. So I'm going to put some on. Then I'm also going to put the Spam on. After I laid down the Spam, I folded the seaweed over the Spam and the rice. Then I folded the edges over the Spam, one side at a time. And to get the seaweed to stick, you can wet your finger a little bit to make it stick. But for me, the heat from the meat was enough to make the seaweed stick to itself. So it ended up wrapping pretty well. And then I tried it again, but this time I put the cookie cutter on top of a piece of seaweed so that I wouldn't have to lift the whole cookie cutter on top. And it ended up working a lot better, so I highly recommend you do it this method, where you put the seaweed down first and then put the cookie cutter, and then you fill the rice and then everything else. Also, during the second attempt, I realized that if you put the spam down lengthwise so that the spam stretches over the rice, like I did in the first musubi I made, it makes it look more uniform and less like a brick, I guess. So yeah, after that you're all set and you can enjoy and eat it. It's really yummy, super easy to make, very few ingredients. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!